Hey folks, welcome to the stream today. I'm working on comic pages for my creator-owned comic, Maru, Kiru, Destroy the Moon. And that's what I'm doing. I got some new music for today. And info on that is in the video description. At the track listing, but I don't have the album. Is called To Slumber Beneath a Blanket of White by Wooden Vessels. So hope you like Dungeon Synth, because that's what we're here for. If you've read, I've done actually quite a lot of Maru Kiru comics already. I have 2 books completed and available for purchase. If you go to my Ko-fi page, you can buy them directly from me. If you go to my Global Comics page, you can actually read them online if you're into that sort of thing. But each book is about 100 pages, with the first one being a little bit less and the second one being a little bit more. And I'm working on the 3rd volume now. I didn't mean to take a year off from making pages on Maru Kiru, but that is essentially what happened. Which is to say that I actually did put quite a bit of work into it last year, and I threw all of that work out and decided to start over. And honestly, do not regret that decision even a little bit. So what you're looking at is the first page of the new Volume 3, Maru Kiru, Destroy the Moon. I said on Blue Sky that I was Bob Ross in it today, and I take that to mean that even though I'm not feeling particularly well myself right now, I'm going to try to provide just a moment of positivity in your day. Chill out, listen to a little bit of music, work on some art. I thought to myself a lot. I think about Bob Ross a lot, which is weird because I never really watched Enjoy Painting all that much. But just like Bob Ross as a person, to me, is kind of a scion similar to like a Fred Rogers. Just a very gentle presence that kind of carries a little bit of melancholy with it, but is also a great comfort to a lot of people. So hey, I make fantasy comics for a living. If I can give you a little bit of an escape for a couple of minutes or an hour or two, I'd love to provide that to you. So. I'm working on 5 pages in this batch. It was originally going to be 8, but I have decided I'm cutting it down to 5. So as to not sacrifice quality. I got a lot on my plate right now. work for hire wise for comics. Which means I have a little less time to work on my personal stuff than I'd like. So I really try to enjoy the time working on my personal projects as much as I possibly can. And I don't like to rush. So if I get into that place where I feel like I'm rushing on a Maru Kiru comic, I take a pause and I say, you know, maybe I should be going about this a different way. Maybe I should be going about this in a more thoughtful and considerate way. And that's really why I got rid of all the work I did on it last year, is because I just felt like I was rushing to get it out. And I should actually go back and see how many pages it was I tossed, but I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of, it was 50 or 60. It was a lot. I mean, they weren't finished. Only like 26 of them were finished. And the rest were still at the pencil stage. But it was a lot of work. But it just wasn't what I wanted it to be or what I needed it to be. So I went back and started over, and now I feel a lot better about it. So I'm going to need to have these pages finished for the end of the month. That's my goal this year, is to just put out a couple of pages of this every month. And if I start to get a lot of regular coffee donations or members, which I need to unlock my membership tiers so that people can actually sign up for those if they want to. But if I get a lot of that crowdfunding support, then that number's going to go up. So it's the social media landscape is always a disaster these days, it seems like. And I don't see that getting better anytime soon. So in a lot of ways, I'm starting from zero on some of this, which It's a little frustrating. But, you know, it's a fresh start, too. It's a chance and an opportunity to create a new ecosystem as an artist. So, try to treat it in that way. But hopefully, you know, it means I'll be spending more time here, both on YouTube and on stream. And now that I'm not really using Instagram anymore, I need to find a way to still share my images with people. I'm not really sure how to do that. I could do it on TikTok. I know there's a lot of people that put like slideshows on TikTok, so I might try doing that. And I might try doing something similar for YouTube. Even though I feel like that sort of posting is not really done here. But of course there's my coffee page, which I'm going to try to keep the gallery nice and updated. And I was just in there today. Lots of cool poster illustrations. A couple of Maru Kiru promos. Some of the older ones that I got back up there. And try to kind of use that as my hub for people, because who knows what's going to happen with anything else, right? I'm very much enjoying this new album that I got. So basically, I was searching for royalty-free dungeon synth. Obviously, I'm streaming, so I need the music, whatever I'm using, to be royalty-free. So I just found a Reddit thread of dungeon synth artists that are like, yeah, use my music, just credit me. So I got this album on Bandcamp, and I like it. It sounds, it reminds me a lot of Metroid Prime, which is always a good thing. spending time drawing inanimate objects is something I was never a huge fan of. I like it more now than I used to. I feel like that's a pretty common thing that you hear, a complaint from artists is like, oh, I don't like drawing backgrounds. And like my advice to you is to find a way to draw them that you do like. Which might sound like bad advice, and let me try to, explain it to you a little bit. Oh, that's loud. In any case, every part of the art process, there's a version of it that you do like, right? That's my theory. So if you don't like drawing scenes and you don't like drawing backgrounds, I would argue that you haven't found the kinds of backgrounds and scenes that you like to draw. I was recently introduced to a French artist whose name I cannot recall. I'll look it up for another time. Maybe I have it. I might actually have the info right here. But my buddy John, who I work on The Royal with, found this guy. I'm terrible at French pronunciation, so forgive me if I get this wrong. But Patrick Boutin Gagné. Really cool stuff, and honestly inspired me like out of the gate on a fun way to think about backgrounds. He drew these trees, and I did a little bit of the technique in the pages we're about to work on, actually, where they're kind of twisted. These really fun, twisty, organic shapes that are structural, but also, almost kind of like figure drawing, which is the part of art that I really like the most, is figure drawing. So if you can find the things that you like about working on a piece of art and apply them to the parts of the process that you don't like, you may discover that you've just been going about it wrong up to that point. So put the things you don't like about your art process into a new context. Try them in a different way. And you might surprise yourself. Fun fact, this little panel down here, I lifted from some of the pages that I had already done previously. There was some good stuff in there. So I decided to keep this. And actually, I'm just going to bring it up to... That's already inked, so I'm just going to bring it up to the level. It's interesting to be able to add to my own Maru Kiru Apocrypha, though. If you got the copy of the first printing of my first book, there's an early unreleased chapter in there as well. That's which is like, you know, way early draft kind of stuff. So that was the kind of thing that I thought was like, oh, this is a fun little aside that's never going to happen again. And well, sure enough. The goal today is to lay in as much of the line work and the spot blacks as I can. And we'll come back for the tone. I draw my panel lines by hand for Maru Kiru. I don't do that for every comic I work on. I don't always do it for Maru Kiru, but I do it more often than not for Maru Kiru. I kind of like the organic look that it gives it. By the same token, it is slower. But you know, like I was saying before, I always try to approach making this comic from a place of contemplation, at least. So it really does feel like the world doesn't want you to have a chance to think. That's like the number one thing I think I've been... Well, I've been dealing with it myself, certainly, and other people I know have been, well, just kind of feeling overwhelmed the past couple of days. But there's something very simple and meditative about putting lines down on a page. You talk about the human experience of making art. That's a huge part of it, right? So, thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. Sometimes I don't do the pencil quite as detailed as I should. But that's okay. Generally speaking, I know what this character's hands look like. Generally speaking. Cool. A lot of people like this design for this character. I mean, I do too, but my opinion is tainted because I love them all. But yeah, no, Yaga especially has gotten quite a bit of love since the beginning of the comic. And she's become a little more goblinoid as I've kind of developed the character. But you know, the hat and the mask have remained fairly consistent. Hmm. So I finish this panel, be done with this page for a minute. Oh, there's a couple of things I need to add, but we'll worry about that in a second. And then we'll get to a page that has Maru on it. For me, I mean, I've been working with Maru Kiru for since 2020, I suppose, if you want to consider the point where like the comic became Maru Kiru and that character got that name. In truth, I was working on it before that in 2019, but it was a significantly different concept. 2020 is really where it came about in earnest. It's very funny, when I started going to conventions and such last year, I thought that I thought that, because I get a little podcasters show up and they want to interview as many people as they possibly can while they're there, and so on and so forth. So you get a lot of microphones shoved in your face and quick questions asked, and I thought that I had a really original story about my comic, and like, oh well, you know, I had needed something to do during lockdown, and I decided to make a comic. It turns out that's was a pretty common experience, which, quite frankly, I should have known better. But I can be kind of dumb sometimes. Which, like, oh well. You'll get that line you want someday. In case you were curious, Dungeon Synth is the appropriate music to listen to while you read my comics. You can quote me on that. I don't know why you'd ever need to, but if you did, you could. This really sounds like Metroid Prime. Sorry if I'm making anybody seasick with my canvas rotations. Alright, there's going to be more spot blacks on this, but I will probably color first. I don't know, I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to that. I'll oftentimes add more ink after coloring She's got all kinds of little pendants and medallions hanging off the hat. Character design was kind of originally inspired by the wizard played by Mako in Conan the Barbarian, and he had all sorts of like little bits and bobs attached to his robe. I call it a robe. It was kind of just a knitted blanket that he wore around his shoulders. It looks pretty good. Alright. You know me, big fan of the splash page. Oops. I just deleted everything, it's no big deal. Hydration. Alright, so we got some pretty extreme perspective going in here. My plan for this is to have do a traditional page release, because that's my bread and butter, but to also have a vertical release. So on a 2-page spread like this, I do it at kind of a diagonal so that it works both traditionally, and then when I flip it for vertical scroll, it'll work there as well. It's a different experience, but I think it'll be cool. And it kind of allows me to split the difference between doing vert scroll and traditional page. I've resisted vert scroll for a long time. But I'm not really sure why. I don't know. Mostly because it's just not how I like to read comics. But I need to get over that, because there's plenty of great comics that are vert scroll. A lot of my friends make them. Perhaps it's time to embrace modernity. At least to some small degree. You know, my ultimate goal with all these is to put them in print. That's first and foremost for me. You know, something's on paper. And I'll always release everything digitally as well, but I think that putting something on paper, you have a chance of, first of all, somebody can really own it. A real copy of it that can't be taken away. And it just feels safer to me to have it printed out. Boy, I tell you, I really like this. I really like this record. at least most of it will make it onto my my permanent stream playlist as I kind of slowly acquire these things. Making dungeon synth is something that I would like to try my own hand at sometime soon. I can make the spooky beep boops. I just got to, find the time to sit down and do that. Time is always against us, it seems. Really not fair. When I started working on the new volume 3 from Maru, the very first thing I did was go back to the drawing board on a lot of the character designs. Reached a point where I don't know, my own art style was feeling very antiquated to me, and I wanted to spice it up. I wanted to liven it up. I wanted to breathe life back into what I was doing. And I've talked a little bit about how I would like to put more like modern fashion drawing stuff into my work, which is difficult when you make a Savage Fantasy comic, but not impossible. So there's some small elements of that have worked their way into the piece. I want to use more spot black. A lot of my colleagues in the cartoonist co-op, who are all wonderful artists, brilliant storytellers, people who are worthy of being followed and read. If you see somebody endorsing cartoonist co-op, I don't want to give anybody carte blanche and say like that means they're a good person, because you never know. But I have only had good experiences with people in the co-op. So if you go to cartoonist co-op and just search for cartoonist co-op, and you'll know you're in the right place, because the logo is a cute little ink bottle and a cute little ink nib, Inkling and Nibford, and they're friends. But they have a great directory of books by the kinds of people whose books you should be reading. If you're looking for new comics, if you're looking for experimental comics, if you're looking for something that is just off the beaten path, independent, it's definitely a good place to start. When I joined that organization, I was kind of like pleasantly surprised to see some people who I already, admired and respected were there. So like Elaine Will, who's a cartoonist who I'm friends with, and who makes a great comic called The Last Man on Earth, which just had a successful Kickstarter. And I'm really looking forward to having a physical copy of that finally. When I got there, Elaine was already there. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then later discovered that Evan Dom of Rice Boy fame and Third Voice and the Middle Evan Dom project, the name of which I'm forgetting, but Evan Dom, you know, everybody loves Evan Dom. He's a member. I was actually on a panel with him, which was very cool. And then Christine Larson, one of my all-time favorites, who made the Orcs books and also worked on Adventure Time. The comics, not the... or maybe the show, too. I'm not actually sure. But Larson's a member, so it's very cool. The barrier of entry is literally you have to be an artist, and actually that's not even true. You don't have to be an artist. You really just have to help out the co-op, and it's like you have to do pretty much one thing a year in support of the co-op's efforts, and it can be small. It can be as small as like sending a couple emails on the behalf of a campaign that they run. They run a lot of great marketing campaigns for their members, or you know, providing somebody a banner drawing or something like that. Or I taught a class on drawing basic action scenes last year. That was my thing that I did. I just put together a little presentation. I did like a 40-minute thing. It wasn't even really about how to draw an action scene. It was like, here are some good things that make an action scene in a comic. You can use them in your comics. Recording of that might still be up on the co-op website, in the co-op library. Anyways, great support structure there. They helped me a lot with my first Kickstarter. And just, you know, generally supportive and enthusiastic people who love comics. This is my third stream that I've done. I've really been enjoying them. This is the new way forward for me. You know, I used to do, and I'm not saying I'm done with this forever because I'm not, but you know, did videos on the channel where essentially they were me rehearsing to do live streams, because it's this format almost exactly, but I would edit them a little bit for time, and you know, my very first stream, one of the things I apologize for is like I cough a lot, and when I have the edited videos, I edit out me coughing, but obviously can't do that live. And I actually haven't been coughing all that much since then, which is kind of funny. But now that I've said that, I'm gonna hack up a lung. But if I can do a stream once or twice a week, and then I can get back into the habit of recording the time lapses on my warm-ups and posting those, I feel like that's a pretty good channel. I don't know. Always feel free to leave me comments about kind of stuff you would like to see, because there is a degree to which I live to serve. But you're going to see a lot of Maru Kiru on the channel this year. Basically, I need to... Maru Kiru and the channel are both passion projects. I'm a freelance artist. That is my job. So I spend most of my time either looking for gigs or working on the gigs that I do get. So I do a lot of interior pages for indie comics. I do a little bit of logo design kind of stuff. I do a little bit of graphic design kind of stuff here and there. I blend my illustration with that in places. I go to live events and I try to sell books and I try to sell posters, and I succeed sometimes. But the channel and the Maru Kiru comics are totally, well, not totally, because Maru Kiru did have a very successful Kickstarter, so I would like to do that again. But for the sake of argument, we'll just say that they're passion projects, and so I got to find a way to be efficient about how I bring those to the world, while also presenting something to you that I'm proud of. And I love Maru Kiru and I love making videos, so I figure I'll combine those two things. Two great tastes that taste great together. Chat's been kind of quiet today, but that's fine. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. If you're just here to hang out and watch, that's fine too. We're just trying to find a chill place today. We got the spooky beep boops going. Do my absolute best to keep the register of my voice in a low, comforting place. Get that line you want someday. I feel like my marker might not be thick enough. It's a problem I never have. As I'm fond of saying, I paint with a sledgehammer. Some of the subtlety of the detail gets lost in the transition from pencil to ink. I've always had that issue. And we're going to work very hard to address that on these pages. Probably at a slightly different stage in the process. So part of the reason I was able to go back and essentially start Volume 3 over is because it is the start of a new story arc. So Maru, Kiru, and friends going to a new place, doing new things. And that is something that allowed me to say, hey, those aren't the right things. Let's fix those things. But they're arriving in a location that I've been teasing for a long time. Since the third chapter of the comic in early 2021, a place called the Iron Jungle. Which is where this page and all the pages in this section will take place. penciled this in with a droplet brush tool to give me a random-ish leaf pattern for the ironwood trees. Time to play my favorite game, Where's the Hole? When you use the magic wand selector, it will select all of an area. I wanted to select all this interior area, the leaf structure I just penciled in. Oh, there's the hole. Nice. Don't forget to drink water. That doesn't look very right, does it? I think I may have misunderstood my own pencil right there. That is definitely not where a thumb goes. We'll leave that alone for the moment. It's funny. I penciled through this a couple different ways and didn't really erase everything. Each time I had a couple of different ideas about where the sword handle should come out, how the pommel of the sword. This one is the heaviest one, but that's very clearly incorrect. So we're going to use this one that is lighter, but it makes the sword straight. So. Really wanted to do a fun thing with the extreme perspective here. Really took me a long time to work through it in the pencil stage. Pretty happy with it though. So I'm really looking forward to how it's going to come together with the inks. Hobbled myself a little bit in the way that I did some of the stuff with the sword. As I erased some foot that may have been necessary, but I think I can kludge through. I'm the king of kludge, yo. What was I doing here with some of this? Oh, I see. I draw a lot of folds in her robes because I just like the way that kind of complicated flapping, folding rippling fabric looks. Sometimes I do it in such a fashion that makes it a little bit difficult for me to read it, at least at the pencil stage. So definitely try to clean that up for ink so that everybody can tell just how many flapping, folding fabric ripples we have. That's definitely one of the things I enjoy about reading Sakamoto Days, which I'm caught up on now. But there's a lot of flapping, folding, rippling fabrics in there as well. So now I guess I have to watch the anime, which I know people were worried about, but I guess I've heard is pretty good. So maybe we were worried for no reason. But as I promised, finished reading Sakamoto Days. I started up reading Hunter x Hunter, which has been a lot of fun. I barely started it, but I think I'm on chapter 11 or 12. I do like that shonen manga. I'll read it all day, every day. You know, another thing I'd like to read is Sailor Moon. Never really had a chance to get too deep into that. I'm a big fan of the style of like the transformation sequences and stuff, and so I'd like to get a little more into that sort of thing. I like the robot house. She's actually pretty small on the page here. You can tell because I've zoomed in to the point where you can see pixels. And I work at 600 DPI, which is very detailed. At least one artist I know works at 1200, which I think is unnecessary overkill. 300 is what you need for printing. So I feel like 600 is more than enough. Let's turn off the blue for a second and see how we look. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's gonna look nice when it's done. Save. I haven't been frequently saving. I've been working very slowly today, I've noticed. Which, you know what, is fine. I took no days off last week, which is bad for you. Always take days off. Good for the body and it's good for the soul. who was on my comic stream on Sunday. But I did finish that. It did take me another 2 hours to do it, but I did finish it. But my back hurt pretty bad after I was done, and just kind of zonked out on the couch for a while. But I still didn't take a full day off, so when I get to the weekend this weekend, I'll be taking a day off. And if you have the capacity to take a day off, I recommend you do it. It's a tough time of year. In a tough year to be in. If you don't have the capacity to take a day off, I'm sorry to hear that. And I hope that you get that capacity soon. And I hope that you can relax a little. Hanging out with us now. Just drawing these leaf shapes is, yeah, you can speed through it. Like I said, I lay these in with a little droplet spray tool. And I outline them. Kind of in a similar fashion to how you would do, let's play Where's the Hole? How you would do a map. There it is. That was an easy one. My, I have a younger relative who draws a lot of RPG maps. And what they do is they actually do use pencil shavings, graphite powder, and kind of dust a page, and then trace the outlines of those shapes that they get, and then blow the dust away. Which I've seen that done before on YouTube videos. It's a good technique. If you're a relatively low-level artist and you're looking for that instant production value, that's kind of a good way to get started. Is with sort of a random shape like that. Conquering that initial blank page helps a lot. Speaking of conquering the initial blank page, there's another artist that I know named Alejandro Bertzete, and He's not the only one who does this. He's just the one who I saw doing it first. But actually has a standard template that he uses to kind of break up artist block. And he says it's much easier to go into a drawing that way than it is to be staring at a blank canvas. And come to think of it, Zach Semantic, who's an awesome artist who I'm friends with, who does a comic called Saga the Spaceman, which hasn't been on hiatus exactly for a while, but he's been working on new pages for quite some time now. In any case, you can read a lot of that comic on Global Comics. It's real good. If you like aliens and conspiracy stuff, it's a good one for you. But anyways, he frequently I've seen him draw on post office boxes. Like you get like the little mailers from the post office. And he'll do art on those, and that's like a big thing on the graffiti scene, I guess. But I think really anything to kind of cure that blank page freeze. I've been meaning to try it myself. I've been meaning to kind of create my own little template, see how I do with it, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Maybe this week. Whenever something bad happens, I always kind of take a moment to step back and say, what's some small thing in my life that I've been meaning to do for a long time that I have control over, that I can control the outcome of, that I can, put effort in and get out what I put into it. That's why I'm working on Maru Kiru this week. That's why I'm Bob Rossing it for you right now. But maybe that template is something else that I can control that. I'm no stranger to living one day at a time. That's a subject for an entirely different sort of video, but it can be really hard to push through. Especially when you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But that's why it's living one day at a time. Let's master today. Tomorrow will have its own challenges. And we'll take those on when they get here. I know I'm making plans to see my friends this weekend. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to try to do more streams. I need to kind of find a way to get used to doing streams so that they don't take me all day to work up to and then get through. My plan for today was to work on the comic by myself in the morning, and then, in the afternoon work on it on stream. And I ended up spending a lot of time preparing for the stream this morning, both logistically and mentally. And I didn't really work on the comic very much. That's okay. This is a learning process. You don't instantly become an old master at anything. And I've been doing art for a long time now. But I've been doing streaming for about a week. I've been doing videos in general for only like 6 months. So there's a lot to learn. It's an entirely new discipline for me. So I hope I'm doing a good job. But I'm always looking for feedback. I'm always looking for whatever anybody might have to offer. I got a decent piece of advice from a watcher, a viewer, not long ago. Essentially about having videos that are too long. And I'm on minute 90 of this stream, but a live stream is a different story. This is something I've discovered. A live stream is a different beast entirely. And I'm not sure if I'm ever going to do other kinds of streams. I'm an artist. Art's what I'm good at. Art's what I put my time and effort into being good at. That's what I want to share with people. I used to have, the pipe dream of like, ooh, what if I was an LP channel? But I think that there's, first of all, kind of the time of the old school LP channel is really kind of over, which is fine. Time moves on. And I've still got the Pros ET Plays Games channel, which I'm very grateful for. I really like Sungwon Cho. He's kind of cantankerous, but in a way that I appreciate. In a no-nonsense sort of way. He always feels good-natured when I watch his stuff. So that's a big part of the reason that I do. It's like, yeah, no, they goof around and kind of the persona that he has for that, whether that's his real, led to believe by all the guests that come on that show that that's what he's like in real life, but he'll poke fun at you and he'll have fun with you, but he's not in like a mean way. I think the world has more than enough people who will be cruel for the hell of it. You need less of that and more can't think of a not trite way to say this, but more love and understanding, that sort of thing. community is going to be really important in this year and the years to come. So I would like to thank you. I know there's not a terribly large amount of people out there right now, but thanks for being part of my community today, and thanks for hanging out with me. Something I did with these legs is not put a whole lot of detail on them in pencil, but I would like detail on them in ink, so we'll work on that. You know, I already did this page today. I would like to get this one done as well. I'll probably do my usual 2-hour stream today, so that would take us till 3:30. And of course, I'll just say again, if you do have any questions or comments about what I'm working on, or any of my other projects, or upcoming videos, upcoming live shows, feel free to hit up the chat and I will answer. But again, no obligation. If I'm really getting into a groove, I might go as late as 4 o'clock today, just gonna depend on how I'm feeling. So once I get the walking house inked in, I'm working on some of the trees, and you notice that they do have something of a mechanical component to them, being that this is the Iron Jungle, and that's part of it. Maru Kiru, Destroy the Moon, takes place in a fantasy world of my own creation called Tulf. Which has largely inspired by savage fantasy settings, but also has some sci-fi influences as well. You know, I've been inspired by a lot of different things in the making of the comic. The genesis of it was a lot of Conan the Barbarian. But in the time that I have been working on it, I've been exposed to a lot of other really cool properties and things, and a lot of that has found its way into the work. Influenced a lot by Gene Wolfe and the Solar Cycle. and great anthology. The thing that got me into Solar Cycle, the reason I started reading it, and there's a European cartoonist, I think he lives in Spain. His name is Ramon Perales, and put together just a fantastic fan anthology for Solar Cycle called The Book of Foligen. And there's a lot of just amazing artists that were a part of that. And I saw that going to Kickstarter, and it was the thing that was like, man, this just looks so awesome. What is this? Why is this? Tell me more. And that's how I learned about Solar Cycle and about Gene Wolfe. And I read, I think, 12 books. These are novels. Waiting for that anthology to come out. And I got it this year, just recently, actually. And it was worth the wait. It was really, really good. So, I don't know if there's still a way for you to get a copy of the Book of Foligen. But if there is, I would definitely recommend it. And I would definitely recommend reading all of Gene Wolfe in preparation for it. One of those moments that's just like the kind of sci-fi and fantasy that I've always wanted to read and never really understood. That's what I was missing, you know? That's not quite what I wanted. That's better. So I'm starting to wind down a little bit today's stream. Talk about when the next one's going to be. And I think it's going to be on Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. I don't know that 2 a week is going to be always what I do, but this week we're going to do 2. Unless, of course, I suddenly change my mind. But this time of day works for me. Maybe not a great time of day for everybody. So we might change that in the future. But right now. Keep it as is. Yeah, it's going to be black. I would like to finish the line art on this page, but I'm just not sure we're going to have the time. Which I know there's really only one way to find out, which is to keep working on it until I decide to stop. Ding. So this hand here, I need to go back to the pencil, maybe. I wonder if I can. I wonder if I can kludge it out. That's just not what hands look like, sir. Alright, now, I need to go back to the pencil on that. I'm not going to try to... So we're definitely not going to be able to finish this page right now. That's okay. I don't know what we'll be drawing on Thursday. It'll be a surprise. Maybe I'll finish the Dan to Dan poster. And by finish, I mean do more work on. Every time I go into something like that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to finish this today. And then I don't. So these kind of weird, sporadic shapes be a little bit difficult to keep track of. This is starting to look the way I want it to. Always a good thing to have happen in your art. You know, there's a couple of things that I need to address, but not in a concerning way. So, big win. Biggest problem is this hand, which I'm going to close off real quick just because I know the general kind of shape we want it to be. I'm just not sure how I conceived of that so poorly, but c'est la vie. So the cool thing about the trees that I am doing for this is, like I said, they have a mechanical component to them. So I can draw the root systems as being like these hoses, which gives it a really kind of neat look that's still, you know, organic, but is also you know, clearly mechanical in some way. So I'm not going to finish this whole thing right now, but I really just wanted to kind of get in here and give you a sense of what some of these things are going to look like when they're finished. think it's going to be very cool. I think it's going to be very cool. All right, so that's going to be it for now. But thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that I was able to give you a couple of chill hours to hang out and not worry about anything but what's on the page. Maru, Kiru, you're going to be able to read these finished pages on the 31st on Global Comics and Comic Fury and any other place that I managed to get it up in time. But of course, you can get caught up on the existing comics that are currently out. Like I said, there's about 200 pages worth of comics that you can read from Maru Kiru right now. This is going to be a great jumping on point if you don't want to read 200 pages ahead of time. But if you're like me, you probably want to read 200 pages ahead of time. So 131 in exactly 10 days, we'll have these pages done for you. And thanks again for coming out and hanging out today. And we'll see you again on Thursday. And please, if you have any questions in the meantime, drop them in the comments. Of course, you can always check out my Ko-fi page if you're interested in commissions or hiring me for any other kind of illustration work. Or if you just want to leave a nice tip and a nice comment, that's always appreciated too. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Hang in there, and I'll see you again next time.